guys. Welcome back to the Babbling Bards podcast.
A podcast made by XENITES.
For XENITES, we're your happy host.
I'm Liliana.
I'm Trista. Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Other times I can be a real witch.
So,
Yes.
Season 2.
Orphan of War.
We have arrived.
Not originally what we were planning to put out for Halloween.
No, we had originally wanted to launch the Girls Just Want to Have Fun on Halloween night, but shit happens, and life gets in the way.
And you end up having to record like 5 zillion podcasts over again. Because something went wrong the first time.
Yes, we had this one recorded. I was gonna throw it up right after the Season 1 wrap-up, but we didn't.
Because Trista had the brilliant idea, instead of getting out the fancy mic, we just used the built-in mic on the computer. And Liliana, after I got home from work, she's all like, hey, we might want to record that, because it sounds kind of crappy. I'm like, oh, it'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Go ahead, throw it up. It's fine. I'm like, why don't you have a listen first?
And Trista's a perfectionist.
Yeah, but at first you were like, just go ahead and throw it up. I'm like, are you sure?
Then as it kept playing,
like,
I was
no.
like,
No. Okay. I'm like, okay, that's what I thought.
No, ma'am, no ham, no.
No.
So,
here we are again.
it's after Halloween. It's the 1st of November.
Second.
Is it the 2nd?
Yes. Today's
Oh, it's a good thing we were checking for Trista and not a concussion.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, it's the 2nd of November.
Yes.
So for those of you guys that didn't get a Halloween podcast from us, we did say happy trick or treat to everybody.
We did.
Happy trick or treat. What else did we do on it? We, of course, promoted Beyond the Farthest Star.
Uh-huh.
Starring Renee O'Connor.
Get your pre-orders in.
Get your pre-orders. Available for pre-order Walmart, Target, Best Buy, FYE, and
Amazon.
And Amazon.com. So, get in there and get them. They're in negotiations for digital streaming and digital downloading. Mm-hmm. And they will really look at those pre-order sales numbers. So, if you haven't already gotten it,
Do it.
get it. Get it. And, well, it's like us, that film, it's a faith-based film. We're not exactly Christian faith-based people.
Uh-huh.
We're pagan. But we are supporting Renee O'Connor.
Right. Right.
If you're not exactly a faith-based person and you know somebody that is, it'll make an excellent Christmas present.
There you go.
It's like less than $10. So
is.
that's for like that relative in your life that needs Jesus. But, you don't necessarily believe in that vein. Get them that. As
There
a
you
nice way of saying, honey, you need to hit the altar. So, anyway.
All right.
We condemn nobody, no religion,
No.
no gender, no race, no...
Not at all.
Yeah.
At all.
No, obviously no sexual orientation. So, you do you, honey. And, we'll do us and support Renee O'Connor.
There you go.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
We'll do that, too.
Okay.
Yeah. Yay! That's my spiel.
Okay.
It's my salesperson spiel.
Alrighty. Sounds good.
It was half-cocked. Anyway. Alright, so, Orphan of War.
Original air date, September 30th, 1996.
I'm 10 years old.
Yes, you are.
Yay. We got a few firsts in this one.
Mm-hmm.
It's the first time after the end credits that Flat Earth Entertainment is credited at the bottom on the logo. From this point on, anything that's CGI heavy will have Flat Earth Media on it.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the credits. Also marks a new outfit for Gabrielle.
Another new outfit.
Another new outfit.
She's all full of new outfits.
She is. So much different from Potadia Gabrielle. That only had the one.
Yeah.
Should be all like Kendra, the vampire slayer on Buffy. It's my favorite shirt. It's my only shirt. But
Yeah. Xena still has her Xena outfit.
no,
It's a little bit different too.
it's different. It's different. And you know how you can tell that it's different?
Yeah.
Because it squeaks when she walks.
Oh yeah.
Anytime Xena gets a new
That's right.
leather outfit, you can hear the squeaking when it's quiet.
Because it's not broken in.
It's not broken in yet. Lucy Lawless would reportedly be like, "Oh yeah, it's nice and comfortable and broken in, and here comes another
Here
outfit."
comes a new one. Oh.
And then you can really hear it in like the behind the scenes footage for Fins, Fems, and Gems. When Lucy's walking, you can hear. It's really bad.
Oh, jeez.
But anyway, first mention of Barrias, who's going to be hella important as the Xena series progresses.
Right.
What else is it the first mention of?
Solon.
Yeah, but he didn't count. Not yet. Oh, it's the first episode that Renee O'Connor is credited in the opening credits.
Okay, yeah.
Because Lucy Lawless pushed hardcore for her to be credited. She was like, hey, she works just as hard, if not harder than I do, because at the time Renee O'Connor was doing her own stunts and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. She was all for doing her own stunts, though.
Mm-hmm. She was. She liked it. She liked the physical aspect of it. You know.
Because wasn't there, like, some episodes where they wanted to bring in the stunt double, but she said no, that she wanted to do it?
Mm-hmm. The episode The Abyss was that way. That funky flip that she does. They wanted a stunt person to do that, and she was like, no, I can do it. Yeah. And then, I actually think it was this episode where Orphan of War. They wanted to bring in a stunt double to play as Gabrielle when she flips over the soldiers' shoulders. Yeah. And Renee O'Connor's like, no, I can do that. You know, I my body still bends like that. I got it. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were some that they wouldn't allow her to do because of insurance purposes.
Right.
And if it was like a facial deal where you had a bad guy and it was the guest actor being the bad guy.
Yeah.
And they needed close-ups on his face. At that point, in most cases, it had to be stunt work because they learned after Lucy Lawless clunked Kevin Sorbo in the head in one of the Hercules episodes that they don't trust their guest stars with their stars.
It's okay, he deserved it.
Yeah. He still deserves it. Jump on that, Lucy! Get it! Hit him! Hit him hard!
Anyways.
Anyway.
Any other little tidbits?
It's the first time that we hear Xena's warlord name.
Destroyer.
Xena, Destroyer of Nations. Not Xena Warrior Princess.
No.
Because Lao Ma gave her that name.
Right. And, wasn't it Alti that gave her the Destroyer of Nations?
Destroyer of Nations. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was.
Okay. Alrighty.
But I think that's all the firsts. I think that's all the first for this episode.
Okay.
Besides Xena Jr. Also known as Solon.
Yeah.
Same haircut. Same eyeballs. He's blonde.
But Xena and Barrias are not.
No. So it's clear that Xena and Gabrielle met at some point way, way back, and Gabrielle had loaded fingers. I'm serious.
Okay.
It happened. That's why he and Gabrielle get along so well.
Probably. Okay.
They both have the little chipmunk cheeks. They do. Yeah. That's what Lucy Lawless used to call Renee O'Connor.
Chipmunk cheeks.
Chipmunk. Because she had chipmunk cheeks. Well, she said she had chipmunk cheeks. Anyway.
So, Orphan Award. As mentioned, this is where we meet, or where we find out that Xena has a child who has been raised by the centaurs.
With no hooves.
No hooves. He has no hooves.
No.
So Xena and Gabrielle enter centaur territory.
Yeah. And they recognize, of course, the totems.
And then,
Gabrielle's like, hey, these don't look friendly.
then they, start talking about Dagnan.
Well, Xena makes the comment, oh, Dagnan's already been here.
So, and she's looking for him, right? Because she knows that he's after the Ixion stone. Is that right?
Ixion, yeah.
Right. So, and then we have centaurs.
Yeah. Now, Ixion, the stone that they're talking about, Ixion's very important in Greek mythology. This episode, they actually say it a little inaccurately.
Yeah.
They call him the father of the centaurs. Right. He's not. He fell in love with Hera after Zeus created a Hera-like cloud, and it was called Nephthali. And so Nephthali and Ixion mated. They made Centauros, and Centauros fathered the centaurs. So he's the father of the centaurs, not Ixion.
Not Ixion.
But anyway. Also Solon in Greek history, not even mythos, Solon was actually an Athenian lawmaker. And he was the first one that took a stand and said, hey, you can't enslave people that owe you money. He was one of the ones that first created the debt forgiveness program. True story, he did.
Okay.
Obviously it wasn't this Solon because, he was 86th.
Yes, he was.
Sibling rivalry?
Oh.
What,
Okay.
you didn't think of it that way?
No. Okay. All right.
Well, I mean, think about it, dude.
Well, I just did.
He's getting ready to go on the road with Xena and Gabrielle, and they're like this little family unit. And then Hope, who's like got a jealous streak because all she ever really wanted with her was her mama to love her. I mean, she may have been evil, she may have been a bad seed, but she still did want Gabrielle's affection.
Right.
And Gabrielle's love. I mean, wouldn't you get all sort of jealous if this other kid was gonna go off and have the family that you wanted? Sibling rivalry.
Okay.
Bam!
Alrighty.
Okay.
But that's later episode.
Yeah.
Centaurs.
Yes.
Okay. You got a group of centaurs, and well, they attack, right?
They attack.
And then
Xena, though, is telling Gabrielle, because Gabrielle's like, hey, didn't you go up against the centaurs?
Yeah.
And so Xena gives Gabrielle, like, a little brief history. And Gabrielle was like, well, why didn't you kill him? But she just kind of leaves her hanging with, well, we reached an agreement.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And then there's a fight.
There's a fight.
Not between Xena and Gabrielle yet.
No. And then, Xena just, throws her weapons down. Gabrielle tosses her staff down. And we have Calliope.
Who's still referring to Xena as Destroyer of Nations, because he doesn't realize she's on a path for redemption.
Right, because he still knows the evil Xena, the bad one. And then
the one that gouged his eye out.
Yeah, and then she, tells him that she came to stop Dagnan, and that she's not here for anything or anybody.
Which puzzles Gabrielle.
Right.
She's like, anybody?
Yeah.
Huh?
And then we have Solon pop out, and he jump down from a tree or something.
Yeah. And Xena like fashion, but not with Xena cat-like grace.
No. And he's all, he
wants
to kill her. He wants to kill her, and, she killed my father. She killed the great Boreas. And Xena's just got this look on her face like, oh my god, that's my son.
That's my boy!
And Gabrielle's like, well, do you know him? And
she's like, yeah, he's my son.
That's my son.
Gabrielle looks like, what?
What? Huh? When did this happen? Because she had no clue.
No. Now, this is where I start falling out with Xena and Gabrielle's relationship. Because this is, once again, something that they're best friends. Right? So this is one of those things that... Don't quit laughing, because I know exactly what you're thinking. So this is one of those things where you pretty much tell your best friend everything.
Uh-huh.
Especially, like, your significant other.
Yes.
About your past. Especially if it's going to have something to do with them in the future.
Okay.
I'm not talking about getting hurt at work and all this bullcrap, Liliana. That's not what I'm talking about.
Uh-huh.
Okay. But it's like 4 times in the whole fucking series, Xena tells Gabrielle, she's like, oh, there are things I should have told you.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Yeah.
And then, like, why didn't you tell her before her life was at stake over it? Come on now. I mean, she had no clue about Solon. Now, if it was somebody that I was in a relationship with,
Uh-huh.
I would have been like, hey, I have a kid. They live with the centaurs, but they're mine. Just thought you should know.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Right.
Well, she doesn't tell Gabrielle.
No, she didn't ask.
Be quiet. How's she going to know to ask?
Exactly.
She's not going to know to ask that.
Uh-huh.
We are not going to bicker on the podcast.
Exactly.
We're not going to bicker on the podcast.
Trista does that all the time. Found out some things that happen. Oh, why didn't you tell me that? Well, you didn't ask. How the hell am I supposed to know to ask that? Okay, anyway.
That's only like if I get hurt. Like I had a pallet of concrete dropped on me at work. And so I was all sore and I'd gone for like 2 days and I was sore and Liliana's like, what happened? And I'm like, oh, I just had a pallet of concrete drop on me. It was only about 300 pounds. I'm okay. Why didn't you tell me? You didn't ask. I'm like, oh, how am I supposed to know to say, did you have a pallet of concrete dropped on you at work?
Exactly.
I'm like, I don't know. It wasn't a whole pallet. If it was a whole pallet, I would be hurting.
Uh-huh.
Like crushed. Because there's 60-pound bags and there's 56 bags on a pallet.
Uh-huh.
I'd be in a little bit of pain.
A little bit?
A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be fine.
But anyways.
Yes.
Back to the centaurs. Where were we?
And that's one of those things you tell your partner regardless. Whether they ask or not.
That, yeah. I'd have to agree with that.
So that's where I fall out with it. I mean, I can understand Xena not wanting Gabrielle to have a full picture of how she was when she was a warlord.
Right.
I completely understand that.
Yeah.
Because Gabrielle's still innocent. Mm-hmm. And part of Xena's always going to want to keep Gabrielle innocent.
Right.
You know, and you can see that change after the Deliverer episode after Gabrielle kills.
Yeah. Keeping her innocent. We'll like see that in the next episode. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So just saying. Okay. Go ahead.
Yes.
Well, you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about. I'm fairly certain they do too.
Yeah.
But anyway, but yeah, I have a problem with that. Mm-hmm. Because I'm like, at this point, it has, at least in my mind, it's not a sexual relationship at this point. Uh-huh. You know? But according to multiple sources that I've read, even though it's not, it's like, this episode, and I don't know if it was the hiatus that they took, because this was right after they'd come back from hiatus, and you can see like the ease between Lucy and Renee with working with each other at this point, and you can see that the writers have chosen to focus on Xena and Gabrielle's relationship, not necessarily all the little filler stories. I mean, the filler stories are still good, you know, but it's mainly a relationship focus, and we see that in the next episode as well. Yeah, but I feel like you obviously care enough to flirt back and forth with somebody. You care enough to invent CPR on the fly to bring them back from death. You know, that's, you obviously know how much you break down. Like, if something happens to them, to me, that would be enough to make me say, okay, here's the what. Yeah. This is what happened. That would be enough to say, okay, dude, this person clearly means something. Why don't I at least unload a little bit? You know what I mean? I don't know. I fall out with that quite a bit, actually. That's my opinion.
Alrighty.
Continue.
Alrighty. Didn't we have the flashback to when Xena gave up Solon, right?
Yes.
So, you know, she tells Calliope that she's willing to withdraw her army. Mm-hmm. And Calliope, you know, kind of laughs at that. You know, the destroyer of nations. destroyer of nations isn't known to bargain.
And then she whips Solon out from under her cloak.
Right. Tells Calliope to take him. You know, he's her son and the son of Boreas. And that if he stays with her, that he'll
be a target for everybody that hates her, and he'll learn things that a child should never learn.
Yeah. And then, you know, Calliope takes him and says that the son of Boreas will be raised as his own. And then you have Xena walking off, where you can see she's distraught.
She's sick to her stomach.
She's sick. Yeah. I mean, she looks like she's gonna be sick.
And in Lucy Lawless's mind, I think you have a quote.
Yeah.
From Lucy Lawless.
Yeah, Lucy had said that, I got the idea she should go off and throw up. I had the idea she was going to go there and just vomit. She's so sick at what she just did. So if you ever see it again, you know that's what she's going to do. I mean, you can see it in her face.
Yeah.
That she looks like she's going to be sick.
Yeah. And I think Lucy Lawless played that up really well.
She did.
I mean, because that's one of... Like, even as watching... The first time I watched, and Xena wasn't, like, my favorite show when I first watched it. Till I started taking it apart, and then I was like, hey, you know what? This was really clever. I kind of like this.
Uh-huh.
But where
You're welcome.
Thank you. Where Liliana enjoys it, like, at face value.
Just to pick it apart.
I pick it apart. I couldn't get past Gabrielle the first time.
No.
And then as I was picking it apart, and then I started... Because I researched, like crazy. Anybody that was in the show, I researched. Lucy Lawless, I didn't have to research because I was a fan of hers from Broadway.
Yeah.
Renee O'Connor, the only thing I'd ever seen her in was Danielle Steele's Changes. You know, that was like the first thing I'd ever seen her in. And it's not one of those roles where it like pops out. Black Snow, yeah. I mean, she did that when she was really young, like 14 or so. And she did pretty well in it, but she was kind of whiny. But she was also a teenage girl, so I guess that fit. Okay. But, like, researching Renee O'Connor and learning, you know, more about her as a person, I guess, knowing that there was, like, abuse in her home and, you know, things that she overcame so that she could get to where she was.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of gave me more respect for her as an actress, and... in turn, more respect for Gabrielle as a character. And then when I was like, oh, wow, look at her arc. Because the first time through, I was so annoyed with Gabrielle that I didn't even see the arc at all. You know?
Yeah.
So,
jeez.
I had real trouble getting through it the first time. That, and then our daughter...
She kept asking, when is she gonna die? Is she gonna get killed off? Tell me she gets killed off. Is she gonna die? And I'm like, no. Oh, somebody dies, but it's not Gabrielle.
And then finally, last episode, I was like, hey, they just kissed! That's when Tristan noticed there was something going on. The very last episode. And then our daughter kept, like, spoiling everything for me, which was just adding to the frustration. I was like, oh my god.
Oh, watch this. This is gonna happen here. This is gonna happen there. And then we finally just started watching without her.
Because I started throwing Sharpie markers at her head. Every time she'd open her mouth to say, ooh, this is where I'd just chunk a Sharpie at her. And it'd thunk her in the back of the head. She finally got the message.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, so now we have, like... Let's get back to the episode at hand. So...
Okay.
Now we have, like... our first little tad bit of subtext.
Okay. Go for it.
In the fact that Gabrielle and Xena sound very much so like a bickering couple.
Yeah.
In this scene there, because Gabrielle is like, I want to talk to you, because it's just been sprung on her that Xena has a baby.
Yeah, she wants to know what's going on and what happened. Which, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I would too.
Yeah.
Like, where the hell did this come from?
And I mean, Gabrielle, of course, feels like she's due an explanation, and she is.
Right. Yeah.
You know, because why'd you keep it from me?
Right.
But that's not even the most important thing in her noggin. The thing that she can't get past is, how could you give your own kid away?
Right.
Like, how can you walk out?
Mm-hmm.
And Xena's like, you don't understand, and
Yeah.
I was like, I do understand.
Yeah, and she wants Xena to tell him, you gotta tell him.
Mm-hmm.
But
Like,
Xena's not having
I
it.
don't even know. And she's like, I didn't come here for him. I came here to stop Dagnan.
Right.
And then we have Dagnan and the Seer, who are
Spying
looking
on them.
Yeah, they're like this medieval-looking telescope.
Yeah.
Like, literally, the telescope wasn't made till the Middle Ages, but they have it in ancient Greece.
Yeah.
The Greeks were hella advanced, man.
Sure they were.
They were. This one kind of took me by well, I guess looking back on it, the beginning, when I saw this the first time, it didn't so much take me by surprise because I'm like, oh, Dagnan's just another bad guy.
Yeah.
But as you watch episodes like Past Imperfect and things like that, Dagnan was loyal to Xena.
Yeah.
Like,
He was.
crazy loyal to Xena. Because that's the whole reason he killed Boreas, was because he thought Boreas was going after her.
But in this episode, we don't know until a little bit later that he was the one that killed Boreas.
Right.
Because until now, Xena didn't know who killed him.
Yeah.
And everybody else thought that Xena was the one that killed him.
Because she kept her pregnancy a secret.
Uh-huh.
We learned that in Past Imperfect, too.
Yeah.
Because she kept her pregnancy a secret.
Right.
Nobody knew that she was expecting it except for
Boreas.
Boreas knew and
Yeah.
her nurse. Her
Right.
nursemaid knew.
Yeah.
The crazy one.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody assumed she did it because they thought that she was still out fighting. But what? Yes.
It's her nurse, I guess.
Uh-huh.
The one that was tending. It's her fault that Boreas was killed.
I know.
Because she's the one that yelled out to Dagnan, hey, he's here to, kill Xena. I just realized that.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
But yeah, it struck me when I watched Past Imperfect, though, because,
of
course, I remembered this episode.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's Dagnan, old, like, icky-looking, scarred-up Dagnan. Ooh.
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeah.
It's like, he was loyal.
He was.
So it kind of blew my mind that he flipped so quickly.
Yeah.
Like, I almost wonder what caused him to flip.
I don't know.
I don't know. Because I know he was beaten by quite a few warlords, though.
Yeah. I mean, we don't find out what happened either.
So I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you think happened? Tell us.
Let us know.
Now. Do it. We'll wait.
Okay.
Okay.
While we wait.
Chirping here.
Right. Okay.
Yes. So, Dagnan pretty much has told the Seer that he needs to find something on Xena because he needs anything to fight her with.
Right.
He needs anything to get advantage over her because he knows he can't beat her.
Right. So he needs any kind of information.
Mm-hmm. And that information is stolen, but he doesn't know that yet.
Not yet. Not yet. Then we have Xena and Calliope.
Who are arguing because
Xena's upset that
Solon wants to be a warrior.
Yeah, he's carrying a sword and he wants to fight and...
But really, don't all little boys want to be a warrior at some point?
I think so.
Because, like, ours do.
Right.
Jonathan wants to be a ninja so bad he can't stand it, and Steven wants anything having to do with a gun. So.
Right. Oh, jeez. Boys.
Or swords.
Or
They like
swords.
swords, too.
Yeah. So... And then he like... Doesn't he, like, give her the line, oh, how I raise my son is none of your business?
Yeah, because he pretty much is like, you gave that right up.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
I mean, and Calliope doesn't want him to be a warrior either.
Yeah.
But he's given him the freedom to choose what he wants to do.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, Xena is concerned with him carrying a sword as he hasn't been trained on how to use the sword.
Mm-hmm.
And that point, actually, Gabrielle pretty much circles up why him carrying a sword if he doesn't know how to use it is such a problem.
Yeah.
Which that's in a couple of scenes, but it's kind of nifty to see the to see those two thought processes working together from a subtext point.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's clear they would raise their kid the same way, regardless of, if they wanted them to be a warrior or not. Hey, if you're going to carry a sword, you need to at least know how to use it. You don't know how to use it, you're just a target, which is what Gabrielle tells him. Well, you covered that, didn't you? About Calliope being, it's like, I don't want him to be a...
He doesn't want him to be a warrior either.
Yeah, you covered that. Mm-hmm. And then about him giving him freedom to choose his own way.
Choose his own path. And then Xena, what makes the comment that, are you, telling me this for my own good or for yours? And he said... because Calliope tells her, he's got a home and a family. Yeah.
And he's not your son anymore.
Yes, and then he says, the thought of losing him, that she can't possibly know what that feels like.
And she shoots back.
Really?
Well, she shoots back with, do you know what it's like to be a mother without her child?
Yeah.
Because this is where, like in the last one, I think I brought up, a maternal bond is entirely different than a fatherly bond.
Yeah.
And no man will ever know what it's like to be a mother. Because it's entirely different when you carry that baby for 9 months, and it sucks the life out of you to begin with. It's a, what do you call it? It's a parasite,
Okay.
It's like, it sucks the life out of you.
Uh-huh.
It literally shares your body. It eats your food. It uses your blood supply. It uses your nutrients.
Uh-huh.
It kicks you in the gut. And you love it anyway. And some babies that pop out are butt ugly. That have faces that only a mother can love. And, I'm just going to put it out this way. Unless a mother has, severe postpartum depression, and my heart goes out to any mother that has ever been through that, because that's rough. My mother had postpartum depression with me and tried to smother me when I was little. But, I empathize very much so with any woman that's gone through that. But unless it's a mother with postpartum depression, who do you hear about walking out on the kid more? The mothers or the fathers?
The fathers.
The fathers. It's always the father. No man will ever understand what it's like to be a mother.
No.
Ever. And you can be there are crackhead mothers out there. There are ladies that are so hardcore addicted to drugs that, they constantly risk losing their kid. But at the same time, some of them are better mothers than others.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll at least still fight for their kids. They may have a vice that they can't get free from, but they'll still try and kick it. And you try and take that baby from them, and they go all kinds of crazy.
Yeah, they do.
So he doesn't understand.
No.
And he doesn't understand, even though he's raised him as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
He's adopted him, and I fully believe that adoptive parents love the babies that they adopt and that they raise. You can't be a human being with a heart and not develop some sort of loving bond with a child that you raised from infancy.
Right.
On. You just can't. But, it's not even his kid.
Yeah.
So, who the fuck is he to say? You have no clue,
Yeah, what it feels like.
What it feels like at the thought of losing him, and she's like, you have no clue what it's like to have shot him from my vajayjay, and did lose him. So,
right?
What up, horsey? I don't know. That scene makes me upset.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, take it away, Liliana. I need to cool down.
Okay. Then we have Xena and Gabrielle having their little conversation, and so Gabrielle asks about the Ixion stone, about what it does, and so Xena explains about it. That Ixion was the father of the centaurs.
No, he wasn't. Covered that already.
Well, yeah, but in the episode, that's what they say, because that's what was in the script. So. That Ixion was the father of the centaurs, and he had the choice of either making them, good or bad, wicked or noble, and he chose noble, and then all the evil
Went into the stone.
Yeah, so all centaur evilness went into this Ixion stone. And so...
Do you know why they chose to use the Ixion stone?
Why?
Because, there's no such thing in mythology as an Ixion stone.
Okay.
They chose to use it because since he mated with Hera...
Uh-huh.
And, of course, it made Zeus pissed off about it.
Yeah.
He was sentenced to serve a lifetime in Tartarus, pushing a giant stone wheel.
Right.
So that's where they pulled the idea of Ixion stone from.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of the stone wheel.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway.
Talk about Boreas, too.
He did.
Yeah. Because obviously, the centaurs wanted to stop her from getting the Ixion stone back in the day.
Right.
And then Boreas sided with the centaurs and I guess kind of turned against her, right?
I think they were turned against each other from the beginning.
They were always bickering.
They were always bickering and always disagreeing.
Right. Yeah. But Xena talks very, highly of him.
Because she admired him because he stood up for what he believed in.
Right. Yeah.
Regardless of if it went against her or not.
Yeah, because she said that he was a wise man, and he found his way a lot sooner than she did. And then she does say that she didn't kill him. So she doesn't know what happened. But everybody thinks she killed him. Including Solon. But Gabrielle still thinks, that she needs to tell him. That, hey, I'm your mama.
And, they have a pretty decent heart-to-heart at the close of this scene. Xena and Gabrielle do. Because she's like, she says that... Oh, crap. How does she say that? She talks about how people think that worrying about your child ends at giving birth.
Right.
But that the baby continues to grow even after it's born.
Yeah.
And that her love for Solon's grown stronger and stronger every day.
Right.
Even though he wasn't with her. And she asked Gabrielle, how can I claim something and I walked away from it years ago?
Right.
And Gabrielle said, well, I don't know what it's like to have a son, but I do know what it's like to have a mother.
And he should know that.
And he should know that. So they're still not seeing eye to eye.
Yeah, because Xena's all like, I'll handle it my way. It's none of your business.
Yeah. Which, again, is not something you should necessarily say to your partner. If I told you that, I'd sleep on the couch. I wouldn't really sleep on the couch.
Oh.
But it would be awful cold in the bedroom. Which I also would have enough respect for you. I would never say that either. Especially if it's something that affects both of us.
Yeah.
Which that obviously would.
Right.
Because assuming that they are partners, that's one of those things that Xena having a kid's gonna affect Gabrielle, whether the kid joins them or not. That's still a huge chunk of her life she didn't tell Gabrielle about.
Right. Yes, it was.
So this episode's primarily about the fighting between the warrior princess and her bard.
Okay.
Hey, Gabrielle was an Amazon princess. She could have just commanded her to... Technically, she was an Amazon queen.
Uh-huh.
So she could have just, hey, do it.
Uh-huh.
Xena wouldn't have listened.
No. She'd be like, what?
Plus, Xena's not an Amazon, so she doesn't have to listen.
Nope. But anyways.
Yes.
Then we have Dagnon, and the seer. So, the seer is right here spying on this little conversation.
And he's a hell of a good lip reader.
Yeah, spying on the conversation that Xena and Gabrielle just had, and he's all like, hey, I may have your weapon for you. And that's when he tells them that, hey, Xena has a son. So Dagnon's, ecstatic about that. So obviously, he's going to kidnap the kid.
Yep. And then we have Xena at Boreas' grave.
Right. And Solon is up in the tree, get away from my father.
And she knows he's there. She tells him to come down.
Yeah. And this is where she tells him, that I just come to pay my respects and I didn't kill your father. And I really wish you would believe that. But
And he said, well, you killed him. My mother was left all alone. And then she's curious as to what Solon knows about his mother.
Right.
And he just... It's almost like Calliope has given him this image that's the exact opposite of Xena. But it's peppered with enough Xena-like qualities. Like her being able to sing.
Right.
You know. And her smile. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, and then she does tell him, did your uncle ever tell you that she didn't want you to be a warrior? And he's like, well, how did you know that? Oh, well, a woman like that, without evil in her heart, wouldn't want her son to take up a sword.
Right.
And then he goes on,
my father died fighting you, and if I can die for something that noble... And then she stops and she's like, don't accuse nobility.
Don't confuse.
I said don't confuse.
Is it confused?
Yeah,
sounded like you said something else.
Don't confuse nobility with anger and revenge.
Right.
So your father wasn't like that.
Yeah.
And then she tells him that they were very close at one point.
Yeah. And then she notices...
She tells him she could sing for him.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sweet because he never gets to hear her sing. Nor does he find out that she's his mother until the bittersweet.
Right.
And then he does get to hear her sing. Mm-hmm. That's kind of like, aww.
Yeah. Then they have the seer, the light shown off of the lens, I guess, which Xena caught.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's all like, oh shit face. Like, oh no. She spotted us. We better get out of here. She catches him.
Puts the pinch on
him. Dagnan knows everything. He knows you're here to stop him, and he knows about your son. So.
Yay!
Yay? We have Gabrielle and Solon. They're having a little conversation. Yes?
Stepmother to stepson. I'm just kidding. She tells him, she's like, I just want to get to know you.
Yeah.
And he's like, why?
She wants to be his friend. Oh, well, you're Xena's friend. Yeah, she's your friend too.
And he's just excited about the staff.
The staff.
The weapon.
Yeah, so she...
Because he's a boy.
Yeah, she tells him that, she got it from the Amazons and that's what they use to defend themselves. He's all about his sword, though. He's got his sword to do that.
It's most men. I have my sword to do that.
Yeah.
And she tells him, this is where we were talking about earlier, that they share kind of the same views on weaponry, which is undoubtedly probably something that Gabrielle taught, or that Xena taught Gabrielle.
Uh-huh. Probably, yeah.
Where I learned that a sword makes you a target.
Yeah.
But not with a staff.
Nah, it's just a piece of wood.
Yeah.
Just a stick.
She's like, there's no sharp points.
It's not threatening.
So, no sharp ends to threaten anyone.
Right.
And then she tells him, you don't have to pretend you're a warrior.
Like I am a warrior.
And he throws the ball at her.
Right.
And she just hits it.
She just hits it.
He's like totally amazed.
I know. How'd you do that? I'm all like, it's just a freaking ball she hit with a stick.
Gabrielle be like, we played baseball in Potadilla.
Right.
I was on the junior little league team. Class of 4 BC.
Right. But yeah, he's all hella impressed.
Yeah.
That she hit this big ball. I mean, it wasn't like a tiny little ball. It was a big target. He's hella impressed, Daddy.
Mm-hmm. She's like, look, and I did it without a sword. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, if you'd hit it with a sword, it would have split in half. Then he wouldn't have been as impressed.
He would have gone, pop, my ball.
And she's like, I did it without a sword and without being a warrior. She's like, do you want me to teach you? Yeah.
And then they get
fucking
attacked.
kid's so stupid.
Then they get attacked. Solon gets grabbed. Well, she tells him to run, but, him
He's
being...
all, I can help!
Yeah, him being a little boy with a sword.
That would be Steven.
Yeah.
It would be Steven.
It would. He'd be telling us to run. I got it! No. But anyways, so he gets captured. Gabrielle gets knocked down. She's about to get, run through. And then the lieutenant tells the other guy, not
She
to
tells
kill
Xena
her.
that we got the boy.
Right. Take the message to Xena that we have the boy.
Gabrielle's walking down the road. Now, Renee O'Connor's facial expression in the next scene kind of cracks me up. Because she doesn't look like she's in the least bit worried about Solon. She looks like she's just kind of walking along. And then Xena pops up and she's like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, how did you even know something was wrong? Because I wouldn't have. Like, if I'd have just seen that scene without knowing what was going on,
Yeah.
it would have never occurred to me that something was going through the character's mind.
Yeah.
You know?
But
Maybe she's just like, oh shit, how am I going to tell Xena? Because we see, especially in the later episodes, as Gabrielle progressively gets better at fighting, Xena tends to blame her when someone they're trying to protect isn't being protected.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Enough that they come up missing. So, I don't know. I don't know if she was worried about it, but we can also see that Xena doesn't lose her patience with her in this episode like she does in some of the later one. Like the Seeds of Faith episode.
Yeah.
You know, when Eli's killed, she blames Gabrielle.
Right.
Because Gabrielle wasn't protecting him. Even though Eli told her not to.
Right. But Gabrielle goes, lets her know that they took Solon. So Xena's like, you get back to the village, tell Cleopas to stay put, and that, she's gonna go after Solon. She's all, I'm going to go get my son. And we have them dragging Solon, putting him up in a cage, locking him up. And we got Dagnan going back into his tent, and Xena's there, waiting for him.
After he's telling all the guys to stay on high alert.
Right.
So she doesn't get into the camp. She's already in, man.
She's already there. She's sitting in the tent, all cozy, waiting for him.
And Dagnan's all like, I just want some warmth. Some human kindness.
Uh-huh.
What?
He gets a fist to the face.
Yeah. You look like you were going to say something. What were you going to say?
No, I was like thinking, okay, so she came in through the top of the tent?
Yes.
How? I mean, wouldn't it have, collapsed?
I don't know.
Because there was no roof, that she's able to walk on.
But it's staked all around the corners.
Yeah.
And there had to have been a beam or something in the middle.
I don't know.
I don't know either. But
Oh my god, that would have collapsed. But anyway, it's Xena. She just flew through it, so.
Probably. 9 times out of 10, she just, stands on the ground, does this flip thing with her uluing.
Uh-huh.
And then just drops down dead center where she needs to be.
Right.
So that's probably what happened.
Yeah. So they have, a little convo before she, boom, knocks him out. And then she goes up, flying through the hole from whence she came. And then we got the soldiers, hey, Xena's out there somewhere. She's out there somewhere, And then she's, pulling.
We see the whip.
We see the whip.
And she loops it around the cage, and she starts pulling Solon up.
Then they notice, hey, it's Xena.
They only notice because he starts straining trying to get his sword. And she's like, Solon, no.
Yeah. Yeah. But he grabs it.
Because that's the sword that was his father's.
Right. And then, so she grabs him. The cage falls. Now,
we got an oopsie.
You guys pay attention when the cage falls. Before it even hits the ground is already busting open. I told Tristan we were watching that. I'm all like, wait a minute. Did it open up before the cage even hit the ground?
And I said, yeah.
So, pay attention to that. Cage doesn't even hit the
ground.
ground.
It blew Liliana's mind.
I was like, oh my god, it didn't even hit the ground and it already opened up. But yeah.
Well, at first I thought you were talking about the cage door.
No. Yeah.
Because, I knew that the ground busted open first. But I thought she was talking about the cage door, and I was like, well, yeah, he had the key to open it already. And she's like, no, the ground. And I said, oh, yeah. But
I never paid attention
We
before.
actually have 3 oopsies right in a row.
Yeah.
in this shot, because we got the cave.
Uh-huh.
They fall down into the giant hole.
Mm-hmm.
And Solen's arm gets broken.
Yeah.
Xena goes to splint it with his sword. And he was like, no! And she's like, well, what good's a sword
without
an arm to hold it?
Right, yeah.
And when they're in the cavern, they start walking again.
Mm-hmm.
And she tells, he asked her why she came for him.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, well, I thought you could use my help. And she tells him, you were brave and you didn't freeze. And he said, I was too scared to freeze.
Right.
And then she tells him, oh, you got good instincts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's trying to build him up, and you can see him, like, he keeps getting these little grins on his face, like, oh, yeah. Yeah. And she's like, your father was brave like that. And he said, well, he was a great warrior.
Mm-hmm.
And she tells him, that was in standing up for what was right, for what he believed was right.
Right.
Someone's like, against you? And she said, yeah, against me. So she tells him that if it hadn't been for Boreas, that the centaurs wouldn't be alive.
Yeah, she would have killed them all. And then we're back at the centaur
camp.
Centaur camp.
Mm-hmm.
Gabrielle's all like, well, Xena told us
to
wait. She'll be back.
And Gabrielle's just notorious for following Xena's orders.
Right. Well, not Dagnan. Calliope is all like, well, Dagnan has my son. I'm going after him. And then, she's all like, well, it's not safe because centaurs are no match for the men in the woods.
Right. Now, in open fields, it's different.
Right.
And we learned that in Hooves and Harlots.
Yeah. And so, Calliope is all like, well, it's dangerous. I understand if none of you want to go. But everybody's all like, well, it's Solon. Of course we're gonna go and help to rescue him because that's his family.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're not just gonna sit back and do nothing.
Right.
And then Gabrielle's all like, well, don't expect me to stay behind. So she just
hops aboard Calliope.
Doesn't even ask or anything. Just hops on his back and okay, let's go. And then we have Xena.
And it's funny because when they get to the camp, or when they get to where the hole's in the ground,
yeah,
she's not even on his back.
No, she's walking again.
She's walking.
She's walking again. She always walks. But then we have Xena and Solon, and they found the Ixion temple, but no stone.
Because Boreas found it.
Boreas did find it. And then Solon notices, a handprint in the dirt, the dust. She's all like, well, was that my... Or he was like, was that my father's?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then she breaks the roots.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's like, I gotta... She said, we gotta find a way out.
Mm-hmm. You should say, this is where all the music lessons paid off.
Yeah, this is where all the music lessons come in handy.
And
she breaks the root and she blows and we hear the sound of a didgeridoo.
Didgeridoo.
It's like one of my favorite words.
It's fun to say. Didgeridoo.
A didgeridoo is an Australian woodwind instrument.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds exactly like Xena blowing on the roots.
And then you got Calliope is like, what in Zeus's name is that?
Gabrielle's like, if you don't know, must be Xena.
Must be Xena. And so they find her, throw down a rope, they start pulling.
It cracks me up that they know they're being chased by Dagnan.
Uh-huh.
And when they get to the great big hole in the ground,
yes,
Gabrielle yells, Xena!
Are you there?
Is that not going to call Dagnan's attention? Because they're still trying to scope out where they are in the caverns.
Right. Yeah.
They could have gotten them pulled up without a problem, but no.
Maybe. So, they're trying to pull them up. Dagnan arrives, throws his dagger, slices the rope. They fall down. They put the rope back down again, and then they go back
Xena
up
kicks
again.
butt.
Well, yeah.
Jumps back, grabs Solon.
They get pulled back up, and then when they get to the top, Solon drops his sword. Now,
we got two oopsies.
Pay attention to the sword. When it first falls and hits the altar, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
pay attention to how
It breaks.
Everything pops out of it. Because in the next scene, it's completely different. And it's 2 different swords.
And neither of the swords are Boreas' sword.
No.
Because we see in the flashbacks that Boreas' sword's vastly different.
Yeah.
But one, there's actually a piece that breaks off of the sword.
Uh-huh. Like when it first hits, there's a little piece that breaks off and flies off to the right side.
Yeah.
Up against the handle.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the next scene...
the sword's moved.
The sword has moved, and an oval piece has fallen off to the left side. Which that oval wasn't there in the first sword.
Right.
The previous scene, so...
Pay attention to that. And then when we shoot up to the top, as Xena's coming up out of the hole, you can watch and the chakram falls off of Xena's hip.
Right.
And apparently they caught that in filming, or they didn't catch that in filming. Because it falls off her hip, and then the next scene is clearly done to be like a close-up scene, and it should have been a long shot, so you can see what everybody else is doing. But they just shot Lucy Lawless from the waist up. They cut off the lower half because I guess in editing they realized that the chakram fell off. So,
yeah.
2 oopsies.
Yeah.
Right in the same scene.
And then you have Dagnon.
Dagnin.
Because the Ixion stone popped out of the sword. So he's all happy because he's got the stone.
He found the Ixion stone!
Yes. Then we go back to Dagnon. Dagnon's camp. They're boiling some liquid.
They're boiling the stone.
Well, first it was like some liquid, and then he throws the stone in. And then he drinks that. I was like, oh my god, that's got a burn going down, because, hot, boiling liquid. Then he turns into, big, bad, ugly centaur evilness.
Boy, he was ugly.
If he wasn't before, he is now. So, and we're back at the centaur camp, yeah? And, Xena knows what's coming. She knows badness is coming. So, she's getting everybody,
They're getting prepped.
The guard's up, and, yeah, Archer's ready. And then Xena's all like, well, no, because regular arrows are not going to penetrate the hide of, Ixion's evil centaur. So she knows that they need something stronger.
So essentially, she tells them they're going to hitch a crossbow to a wagon. So they can pierce the hide.
Crossbeam.
Is it a crossbeam? Yeah.
Because a crossbow would be too small.
Yeah, that's right.
They need a beam. They need something big. That little bitty. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Gabrielle pops up and tells Xena that she's getting ready to resplint his arm. And she tells Xena that he's a lot like his mother because he won't admit that he hurts. It hurts.
Yeah.
And then they have like their reconciliation moment here. I bring that up because it's the only other little tidbit of subtext that I have for this episode.
Okay. Go for it.
They reconcile.
That's it?
Well, they got like the shy smiles and the little flirty looks going back and forth at each other.
Okay.
When Gabrielle apologized, she, because she's like, you jumped at me and I deserved it. I don't agree with you, but I should have realized you were hurting.
Alright.
And Xena's like, oh, that's alright.
It's okay. Not a problem.
And Gabrielle tells her, I'm here for you, and Xena tells her always. Which is our next big subtext thing, because the always speaks volumes, especially in terms of soulmates. We even see that in Harry Potter.
Huh? What?
The always.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It speaks like magnitude of volumes when you're talking about soulmates.
Okay.
Because I was just saying, did you totally just tune me out?
No, I didn't know what you were talking about. I was like, what?
Because Gabrielle tells Xena, I'm here for you, and Xena replies, always.
Okay.
I was like, we see...
It didn't click, so I was like, what?
I'm like, we see that's a big soulmate thing, even in Harry Potter, because that's Snape's response to...
To Dumbledore.
Yeah, to Dumbledore, when Dumbledore realizes that he's still in love with Lily. After all this time, always. You know?
Yeah.
So, that's a big deal.
Okay. Well, yeah.
You just blow off my subtext like it's nothing.
No, I don't.
She assigns it and then she just says, okay.
Okay. And it is where, too, where, like, Calliope and Xena kind of, I guess, have a reconciliation, too.
Mm-hmm.
Because, she tells him that...
But there's no subtext.
Well, no. Because she's, tells him that, you never should have been my enemy. And he tells her, well, this Xena never was. Because he sees that this Xena is not the same Xena from, 10 years prior?
11.
10, 11.
No, it was 11.
Was that? I thought he said 10, earlier. But, anyways, he sees that she has changed. And she's not the same.
Maybe it was 10.
Either way. It was years ago.
No, not either way. Because in the next episode, we know that it's been 11 years since Lysias' death.
Okay.
So Solon would have had to have been 10.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Solon probably would have had to have been 9.
Okay.
No, he'd be 10.
Okay.
Wow, she moved quick. Jeez, oh, Pete. More to come on the next podcast.
Right? And then Gabrielle and Solon have, a little conversation.
So, quick rundown of this scene. We got Gabrielle resplinting Solon's arm.
Mm-hmm.
She tells him, you'll be doing backflips in no time. And he says, well, I couldn't do them before. She's like, trust me, you're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
And then she, of course, is looking at Xena with admiration because, she's pretty amazing. And he says she knows a lot. So she's a good person.
Right, and then he realizes, hey, I'm not afraid of her anymore.
We also understand in this same scene that there's closure here for Gabrielle.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's telling Solon's heard from Xena this entire time, oh, your father always does what's right. He always does what's right. Regardless of what anyone around him thinks, he always does what's true to him.
Mm-hmm.
And Gabrielle says to Solon something entirely different. She says, essentially that Xena always does what's right, even when it hurts her.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, I forget that sometimes. Which is it means, A, that Gabrielle's come to terms with, she finally understands why Xena's not saying anything to Solon about being his mother. And it also puts in Solon's head, because he says, well, she's not like I heard.
Right.
She was, because he's heard, probably from all the other centaurs, maybe not Calliope, but all the other centaurs, that Xena's just a bitch,
Right.
Because we've got a couple of centaurs in here that she'd actually captured in the episode Past Imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
And, so it brings closure to both of them, Gabrielle, for understanding why Xena won't, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why she won't tell him. And then it lets Solon know, hey, I guess she kind of was like Boreas. They were both great warriors, just in their own way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Then we got Dagnon attacking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or not attacking yet. But, so he gets there.
And let's just, give a shout out to the cheesy special effects. Because, for the time, they were cutting edge.
Yeah. Yeah. See this big old ugly looking centaur coming up the hillside, I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he's got Boreas' sword. But not really. Solon thinks it was Boreas' sword.
Right. And then this is where we find out that he is the one that killed Boreas.
Mm-hmm.
Because, he got him and Xena fighting. And, he says that he's the one that's... the last time that he saw Boreas was when he stuck the sword in his back.
Mm-hmm.
And then Xena's all like, well, you killed him? And he's all like, yeah, I killed him. That's where we all find out that she didn't do it,
She hits him in the safety deposit box, though. When Calliope is starting to fight him.
Uh-huh.
Xena rolls underneath him.
Oh, yeah.
And she,
kicks him, and
she nails him straight in the centaur.
Right.
And then she gets cranky and throws her sword backwards and dislodges the rope and shoots him with the
big cross beam.
Yeah.
He goes down again with the special effects. It's just looks funny.
Okay.
Alrighty.
You're sadistic,
Why?
Nothing.
And then the closing scene is with Xena and Solon. And she still doesn't tell him.
No.
No.
She didn't. He throws his sword in the water. He says he's not a warrior.
He's not a warrior.
And she's like, your mom would be so proud.
Mm-hmm. And now he knows that she's not the one that killed, his father.
Yeah.
I guess that's some closure for him, because now he knows who did it.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, he's dead now.
Yeah.
So.
Well, during the discussion, you get the feeling that Xena's getting ready to tell him.
Right.
That she's his mother.
But she doesn't.
Mm-mm. No, because she's like, we don't know if things we do are right or wrong till later. And she says something I did a long time ago was wrong. And he's like, oh, trying to kill the centaurs and get the stone. And she's like, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So, then he has the little bit of closure at the end. Because she's like, your mother would be proud of you. Mm-hmm. Now, his mother, I have wondered if the grave's empty by Barias.
That's what I thought, too. I don't know.
Because he doesn't meet her. Mm-mm. He hears stories about her.
Right.
But he's never met her.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they just put the headstone up and was like,
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
He thinks that Xena and his mother would have gotten along.
Right?
Little did he know that his mother and Xena hate each other. We see that in Dreamworker.
Dreamworker.
Mm-hmm. Solan's mother and Xena hate each other.
Okay.
It's two different Xenas.
Oh. What?
Because current Xena despises Destroyer of Nations Xena.
Got it.
There you go.
Okay. Wait a minute. What? Okay, anyways. So, yeah. And he says, that he thinks they would have gotten along.
Mm-hmm. And then the credits roll. And then we have the disclaimer that says, no sleazy warlords who deem it necessary to drink magic elixirs that turn them into scaly centaurs were harmed during the production of this motion picture.
Right.
Yay, us.
Yay.
Hey, Liliana.
Yes?
We made it through another one.
We did.
We did. Guess what?
What?
We're still going to do a Halloween contest.
Okay. Alrighty.
It's a little late.
It is.
It'll be Halloween somewhere.
Uh-huh. So that'll be done during the Girls Just Wanna Have Fun episode.
So you guys...
We'll make our own Halloween day.
Right?
I guess. It'll be a belated Halloween.
We'll be all, this is Halloween,
this is Halloween. We do the mash.
We do the monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. Oh.
What?
I hate that we missed releasing it on Halloween.
I know.
We worked so hard so that we would be able to get it up.
We tried. We were trying.
I even put it in my planner.
I know.
I even put it in my planner so we knew what episodes we needed to make sure were released on what day. Liliana looks at me and she's like, we're not going to make it. I'm like, oh no, we're going to make it. We're going to load this episode, and this episode in one day, and then this one, and this one, and this one.
Uh-huh, and then this, and this happened, and then that happened, and then this happened, and then...
And then the other thing happened.
Right.
Oh. The fates were not aligned.
No, they weren't.
They cut that thread, buddy. They just...
They snipped us.
We've been snipped! They neutered our Halloween plans! Blood-sucking Bacchae.
But anywho, first episode of second season, Orphan of War.
It was actually supposed to be the 6th episode of season 2.
Mm-hmm. Because Callisto was supposed to be the first episode.
Yeah. They didn't do it that way.
No, they didn't.
This episode was the 5th to be written, though.
Uh-huh.
For season 2.
Alrighty.
After they decided not to use Callisto, Remember Nothing was the first. So, yeah.
Yep.
Anyway.
So the next episode, Remember Nothing.
We get to see Lycius.
Mm-hmm.
And we get to see badass Gabrielle.
Yeah.
Well, mad at the world Gabrielle.
Yeah.
She's not so much badass as just
she's slave girl Gabrielle. So yeah.
She's a Britney Spears song. I'm a slave. Never mind.
Okay.
No.
So that'll do it for this one, yes?
Yeah, okay.
Very good. Did miss anything? Got it?
I think we got it. Some of my favorite episodes come up in this season, so I'm kind of excited.
Okay.
Because, girls just want to have fun.
Yeah.
Warrior Princess Tramp.
Mm-hmm. The Quest.
The Quest. Here she comes, Miss Amphipolis.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
A Day in the Life. Because, Minya.
Yeah. Minya. I like that one.
How did you? Ulysses, which we'll have a couple of fun facts for.
Okay.
Same way with Lost Mariner. I have a couple of fun facts for those episodes that you guys might know, but you might not. We'll find out. We'll jump off that bridge when we come to it.
Okay.
And some episodes that I don't care for all that much.
Mm-hmm.
The Execution.
Yeah.
For Him the Bell Tolls. I hate that episode.
I know you do.
10 Little Warlords.
Oh, we have the Xena scrolls in this season, too.
I don't know how I feel about those. I do and I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, I like them and I don't like them.
Uh-huh.
All at once.
Okay.
Because, yeah, I don't know. I guess they're having to do, like, an Indiana Jones homage in every season of Xena. Because they do in every season of Xena.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they've got, like, they've got Royal Couple of Thieves in season 1. And then Xena Scrolls in season 2. Which is where we find out who's telling us the story of Xena.
It's Gabrielle.
It's Gabrielle.
Mm-hmm.
And even Janice in the Xena Scrolls is really upset that she's Gabrielle and not Xena reincarnated.
She was so hoping to be
Xena.
I'm Xena.
Then she thought she was Callisto.
Yeah.
But she wasn't.
But anyways.
Anywho.
So, that'll do it for this
For
edition.
Orphan of War.
Uh-huh.
We're done.
Okay.
We're gonna go back. We're gonna go and record Remember Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gonna be bomb. Maybe.
Okay.
There's no Cyrene, so I'm automatically depressed.
Oh, yeah.
Anywho.
Alrighty, guys.
More to come from the Babbling Bards podcast. Until next time, guys. Happy chakrams.
Mm-hmm.
Be a force for good. Do something nice for somebody.
That's right.
And
Be good.
be good. Battle on.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.